So here we are at the first evening of the Science of Consciousness 2019 here in Interlaken. We're going to go and talk to a few people, find out who they are and why they're here. What's your name, please?
Laura Weed.
Oh, hi, Laura. Hi. And where are you from?
Albany, New York.
What's the appeal of the Science of Consciousness to you?
Well, I just love the topic. I just love this conference. I've been coming many times. I think Stuart and David do a wonderful job putting the conference together. I'm giving a paper this time in one of the concurrent sessions. So.
Excellent. And what is your paper on?
It's on a theory of consciousness based on fields rather than material composition. So it's an argument for a way to avoid the compositionality problem that David Chalmers talks about.
What's your name, sir?
Daniel Polari.
And where are you from?
Brazil.
All the way from Brazil. Excellent. Why do you come so far for this event?
For me, this is my life, honestly. I work with neuroscience of consciousness perception in other species than humans. So I honestly don't think that we can understand us if we don't reach other levels of what we call consciousness. And how is that it developed unto us?
What's your name, sir?
My name's Alan.
Alan, and where are you coming from?
Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, you're coming from Tucson, the hometown. What is it about the science of consciousness that brings you all the way to Interlaken?
I'm a psychiatrist. It's something that's close to me. The other is it's a beautiful area, and it's wonderful to get away and enjoy this experience.
Okay, and what area of the science of consciousness is most interesting to you?
I think being able to integrate an Eastern point of view, the experience, knowing that Western science has only a limited amount of information that can use to explain things, and there has to be something deeper to the experiential part of things.
So this is the conference I come to when I want to hear about quantum biology. So that's mainly why I'm here. There's some fabulous talks that I've already been to, but also psychedelics. I've been to that today and that was a surprise. I wasn't going to go to it, but it was fabulous.
Do you think that the answer to the big question might somehow be in the whole field of quantum theory?
I've been doing some work on light in the brain, and the thing with light, because it's a physical process, it stands to reason there's some quantum in there.
I'm from San Francisco.
What brings you all the way from the West Coast, California, to Interlaken, Switzerland?
It had been about 4 years. I was like, okay, this year I'm going to the Science of Consciousness conference, and then I couldn't make it. And then finally said, okay, 2019, I'm fucking going. And it's like, oh, it's in Sweden or Switzerland. I said, oh, I guess I'm going to Switzerland then.
This is my first scientific conference, actually, and I love it so far.
Excellent. Oh, well, welcome. I'm very glad you're here. And you say you're studying the science of consciousness there. So what aspect of that are you studying?
Since I'm a beginner, I'm actually interested in the whole field. So I think I will use this week to more, maybe find a field that I will go deeper into.
So now, it's my great honor to welcome to Consciousness Central this year's conference organizer, TSC 29 organizer. This is Harold Atmanspacher. Hello, Harold.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, and you are with Collegium Helveticum, is that correct?
I am working at Collegium Helveticum,
yeah.
An institution which is jointly operated by the big Zurich universities, the ETH and the university.
So let's just start by, perhaps I can ask you, what was your feeling for this year's conference? What did you want to sort of bring together, perhaps something that hadn't been done really quite like this before?
I really, I saw in the last TSC conferences that there is a little bit of a move away from philosophy. And I wanted to reinforce that again. That was number one. Number two, is I wanted to emphasize a little bit more than in some of the previous conferences, alternatives to physicalism. You know, physicalism is the position that consciousness ultimately can be somehow derived out of the physical world or the brain or whatever. And I don't think this is convincing anymore. So I really tried to collect people who work in their particular fields on alternatives like dual aspect monism, like panpsychism and these fields. So that's why this is one of the centers here at this conference.
The one thing that, as far as we know, and it seems true, we cannot model a feeling. So the affect, the thing that sort of gives us a sense of experience. Could you kind of open that out? And clearly this is a very, very important part of the study of consciousness, the science of consciousness.
Yes. Well, so what you've just said about perception, namely that it can go on in the dark and that it can be executed by very simple instruments like cameras, applies also to just about every cognitive function. Memory, your cell phone has memory. Executive functions, in other words, the capacity to decide what to do next. Even the solving of really complex problems, computers can do this better than we can when it comes, for example, to games like chess and Go and so on. So to my mind, the fact that those of us who are interested in consciousness have focused our efforts on these functions is frankly odd. It seems fairly self-evident that we're looking in the wrong place because these are not intrinsically conscious processes. Perception, memory, etc., all cognition can go on in the dark. So from a principled point of view, it seemed to me that the right place to look for an understanding of consciousness is some function which is intrinsically conscious, which is inherently necessarily conscious, and that's why I look to feeling. It's not that it can't be modeled, by the way, which is what you just said. I don't believe it can't be modeled. I'm just saying that the naturally occurring form of consciousness that seems logically to be the correct starting point for understanding the mechanism is feeling, and that is to say affect. Now, different people mean different things by terms like affect and emotion and so on, which is why I use the word feeling, because that's the aspect of affect I'm talking about. I mean, there is a thing that we have which is called feeling, and it clearly exists as something that you have to feel, otherwise it isn't a feeling. And so it's that aspect, I think, if we can explain why and how feeling comes about, then we're asking the right sort of questions.
So here's a very rather nicely presented and designed poster. What's your name, sir?
David Lorimer.
Hello, David. And could you just tell us something about your poster? What's going on here?
Yes, this is the Galileo Commission report, and it's about going beyond a scientific materialism and trying to expand the premises and basis of science so that science can take into account experiences that are currently just set aside. Particularly in terms of mystical experience, psychic experience, and other areas that are incompatible with the materialist theory of mind. So we've got 90 advisors from about 30 universities supporting this project, and we're inviting scientists really to look through the telescope at this kind of evidence, for instance, veridical out-of-body experiences in near-death situations, and to think through the implications of this for our understanding of reality.